In this series of C programming, in last video we discussed what is C tokens. Now let's continue the same discussion of C tokens regarding keywords and identifier. So today in this video we're going to discuss what is keyword, what are the examples of keywords, what is identifier, what is the rule of keyword, what is rule of identifier, and what are the examples of valid identifier and invalid identifier. So let's start. Now what is keyword? Now what is the use of keyword? Now keyword and identifier both are coming under tokens, C tokens. Now C tokens or keyword identifier in C language are building blocks of program, that is it's help to write a program, that's why it's called as a building block. Now keyword are predefined reserved word. Now it reserved word or it already defined into the processor or into processor directives. So the meaning of the keywords are known to the compiler. Now the keyword are part of a syntax and they cannot be used as an identifier. Now keyword and identifier, these are the both different things, but keyword we are used as a part of syntax, that is while writing a program we use the keyword. Now for example, int roll number. Now here int is a keyword, that is it indicates the roll number is a variable. Now what is variable we're going to discuss in next further video, what is variable, but int is itself a keyword and it represents the integer. So integer is a predefined into the processor directives and it a reserved word. So the meaning of int is already known to the compiler or it described into the compiler. Now let's understand what are the rules of keyword. Now these are all the 32 keywords which is reserved and predefined. For example, auto, break, character, do, else, if, for, float, int, switch, void, while, etc. all are reserved or predefined. Now let's understand what are the rules. Rules are keyword cannot be used as an identifier. Now what is identifier? We're going to see the next what is identifier. But keyword and identifier are different. We cannot use an identifier and keyword same. Keyword must be written in lowercase. Now here you can see the 32 preserved words are all in the lowercase. Next rule is keyword hold a special meaning of a compiler. That is each word that is returns have or union, void, for, if, do, all these having a specific meaning for the C compiler, and that's why it's called as a building blocks. To write a program we use all these keywords. So this is all about the keywords. Now let's understand what is identifier. Now basically the name itself suggests identifier, that is it gives the identity. It refers the name to the entity such as variable, function, structure, etc. Now it's very important to suggest some understandable name. Now while we are writing any kind of program, there must be an identity or there must be identity to given a terminology to particular variable, function, structure or class. So identifier get the code quickly, which is very readable. Now identifier must be unique, that is one identifier cannot be repeat again. The one identifier considered as the one single name, that is it's unique. So it's create a unique name to identify during the execution of program, because during execution of program or writing a program we give the name to the variable and function, and execution of program it identify that variable or that particular identifier. Now for example int roll number and float account balance. Now here roll number and account balance are identifier int and float, or these are reserved word or predefined word called as a keywords. So identifier name must be different from keywords. Now let's understand what are the rules of naming identifier. The first rule is a valid identifier can have both, that is uppercase and lowercase letter, digits, underscore. Now here identifier includes uppercase, lowercase, digits and underscore. Second rule, the first letter of identifier should be either it should be either letter or underscore. Now we cannot use keywords as identifier, like for example we cannot use int, int, while, etc. as an identifier, because keywords are already reserved word or predefined word, but identifier can be given by user, that is user defined name. So there is no rule on how long identifier can be. You can give the any length of the identifier, but some compiler face the problem when the identifier length is longer than 31 character. The next rule is we can start the identifier or we can include the identifier with the alphabet letters or characters small a to z or capital A to z. In between we can use 0 to 9 digits also and underscore. The second rule, the first letter of identifier can only contain the alphabet. That is, you can write a small letter or capital letter, but it contains the alphabet at the starting, or at the first character you can use the underscore also. The third rule, identifier are case sensitive in a language, in C language. Now what is mean by case sensitive? Case sensitive is nothing but, for example, suppose I write name as a small letter and another name, the first letter begin with the uppercase. Now the compiler will going to treat this both two identifier, that is this having the two different identifier because of the its identifier are a case sensitive and it treated as a two identifier. Now keyword are not allowed at to identifier. Now we know that 32 keywords are there, but we cannot use a keyword as an identifier. And identifier cannot include special character. Now what is special character? Such as semicolon, dot, white space, slash, comma, etc. Now in previous video we already discussed in tokens what is special character. So these are all the rules of identifier. Now let's understand what are let's see the examples of identifier. Now first we'll see what are the valid possible identifier. Now here we can simply write identifier name like total, we can use the lowercase. Average one, now we can include the digit number, but it must be start with the lowercase. Now difference underscore 1, we can use the underscore and number in between the identifier, but the letter must be start with the alphabets, or identifier must be start, the first letter must be a alphabet or character. Now identifier can also start with the underscore also, and underscore and letter. So underscore roll number is a valid identifier. Now we can start with the letter, it may be uppercase or lowercase, it again the considered as a valid identifier. Now these are all the examples of valid identifier. Now again the underscore division, underscore a, in between you can use a number or underscore, but you can start the identifier with the underscore also. Now let's understand what are the invalid identifier. Now here $myvar. This is the invalid identifier because the identifier cannot start with a special symbol. X exclamatory Y. You cannot use any special symbol or character in between the identifier. Next, the identifier we cannot start with the digit or number. Now in identifier we cannot use the blank space. So number 22, number space 22 is an invalid. Again the roll underscore roll white space number is again the invalid because white space or any special character is not included into the identifier. So these are all the invalid identifier, these are all the valid identifier. So that is all about the identifier. Now let's discuss what are the difference between keyword and identifier. So we know that the first difference, keyword are predefined and special reserved word. It has some defined meaning, that is defined statement in the program. But identifier is generated by the programmer, that is user defined name, such as the name is given to the variable, structure, class, function, etc. Now the second point, keyword begin with the lowercase, that is all 32 keywords are in lowercase, but identifier, the first character may be begin with upper, lower or underscore. The third difference, it defines type of entity, but here we give the name to the entity, that is we give the classification. It may be variable name, structure name, class name, function name, etc. The fourth point, it can have the alphabetical character. That is, it's only having the small letter or lower case letter alphabets. But in identifier, we can use alphabet, numbers and underscore. Now, it should be lowercase, and here you can use both upper and lowercase. Now keywords define a particular property, that is particular specification or meaning, but identifier locate the name of entity. Now examples under keywords are double, int, atto, character, break, etc. And here the names of identifier is a test, count, high speed, etc. So these are all the difference between keywords and identifier, and this is all about the rules of keywords, rules of identifier. Now in next video we are going to discuss what is data types in C. Thank you.